Happy belated CARICOM Day to all my Caribbean community. So to all of you, the majority of you I'm sure, who didn't know, July the 4th or the 4th of July is also CARICOM Day. Not only the American Independence Day, but it is also CARICOM Day. CARICOM being the Caribbean community, the organization behind the Caribbean, the political organization behind the grouping of the Caribbean states, the Caribbean territories, where we form or attempted to form a unit to be able to discuss economic activities and political activities on a global scale. Because, you know, as one tiny, seemingly insignificant, tiny island, recently formed, recently independent, you're freshly formed and freshly independent from the British superpower. So what happened in that case is it's very difficult to try to make discussions on a global scale by yourself. And we know that the economy on a whole, the international economy, is becoming more globalized. Everything seems to be on a larger scale. So if you really want to be able to have any say on anything, it's very difficult to do that if your population is like 100,000 people. That would be a struggle to get things done on the international stage. And even beside that, the Caribbean itself has linked histories. We have common histories and commonalities within our history that make us being more unified just make more sense. So how did you celebrate? How did you celebrate, especially knowing the fact that you didn't know it was CARICOM Day? Maybe sometime in the future, if CARICOM becomes strong and we become more of a unit, CARICOM Day may have more of a say, and who knows, we may be shooting off fireworks for CARICOM Day sometime in the future, a few years down the road. No one knows how the future would end up, not even me. Who would have known that I'd be here speaking to my camera this year during a pandemic? I wouldn't have guessed that. On TikTok, on one of my contemplations, I saw someone commented and said that, you know, what I'm saying should be taught in schools, and these things that I'm teaching should be taught in schools. And the truth be told, a lot of what I do talk about is taught in schools according to which school you do go to. But on that note, I'm thinking that maybe they may have it in a bit of reverse. Maybe we should be taking some teaching out from the schools into the places where more people are. The aim of teaching something, anything, isn't not just schoolwork, whether it be we're talking about news, current affairs, current events, what's going on in India, what's going on in Australia. The aim of teaching someone something is to teach someone something. You would like to impart some information you have onto someone else. Hopefully it could be helpful for them, whatever purpose they have for it. So if the intention of teaching is getting information to people, then shouldn't teaching be where the people are? It shouldn't be we're trying to bring people to the teaching necessarily, but carry teaching to people more. That's at least part of the theory I have behind it, and why I enjoy doing some of this. And well, this is mostly news, this isn't much teaching, but even on the side where we're talking about new things and ideas and new studies done, it's teaching to some extent, but it's bringing the information to people. More people, I believe, learn from the internet than would be learning from their classroom. That's another comment I see regularly on some of my videos. These videos may not have some of these comments. The contemplations I do over on TikTok have a more teaching style. And that's a comment I regularly see. That, boy, I learned more in 1 minute of your video than I did in 7 years in school. But as good as that may feel just seeing the comment, that is an indictment against our school system. If 1 minute of someone teaching something without them even interacting with you feels like it imparts more knowledge to you than all the years of schooling, then the schooling was lacking. And that's not an insult to teachers necessarily, the teachers in the school system. It's sometimes it may just be how the school system is created. We have 30 plus students in a classroom and they're locked there, and this teacher is teaching one lesson structured at all these students and hoping that they all get it. So there's a flaw in the system in that sense. But maybe it may be to some people's benefit to take some teaching to where the people are. Instead of having just hours of pure entertainment, empty entertainment, you laugh, as good as some of the other videos may be, isn't it of some benefit if the entertainment time, the time you take out to go and spend 3 hours on YouTube, or the time you take out to spend 5 hours on TikTok, because that is an absorbing app. Once you start, it's so immersive. It's just pure video content and short videos designed attempting to catch your attention constantly. That is like crack for those who like that social interaction and what social media gives, TikTok is like crack. But if you're spending all those hours on that, wouldn't it be beneficial if there's some learning that can be done? And if we could learn not just things in our textbook, but things from the region, things from the CARICOM region, as we're talking about CARICOM Day, things that are pertinent to the CARICOM community. So we know that over in Jamaica, they had a walkout in their parliament. So it's not just in Trinidad where our politicians are misbehaving. And the video I did yesterday where we spoke about how our politics gets, and we know how our politics in Trinidad and Tobago gets. And sometimes if you are too insular, if you are only looking inside of your country, of your circle, of your bubble, whatever that bubble may be, you could be tempted to think like, inside here is the worst, or inside here is the best, according to how you lean. You could be thinking like, okay, my country has it worse than the other countries. Our politicians are the worst over here. And then if you actually spend some time and read, even right out in our region, over in Jamaica, Senate rage, walkout after Brown labels Johnson Smith hypocrite, liar. Leader of government business in the Senate, Kamina Johnson-Smith, walked out of Friday's sitting of the upper house, followed by several of her government colleagues, after opposition Senator Lambert Brown called her a liar and a hypocrite. Again, I'll be posting these links in the description if you'd like to know how things mirror each other over in other CARICOM territories. And it's not just in Trinidad where our politicians do what they do. You could read that the government accused the opposition of something. In fact, let me give you a slight breakdown of what this is. The government senator accused an opposition member of going along with criminals, with a drug lord, with a leader of crime, a crime lord, a don in Jamaica. That's what the government accused the opposition of. The opposition stood up to attempt to defend themselves, and then they called the government senator a liar and a hypocrite. And the government senator couldn't take that, and she walked out of the parliament. That sounds like it could have happened right in our hallowed halls of our own Red House Parliament in Trinidad. That's common action in our parliament in Trinidad, but it seems to be more of a CARICOM thing apparently. And then if you read more of a global scale, you'd understand that it isn't even a CARICOM thing. It isn't a Caribbean thing. It isn't a Trinidad thing. There are some parliaments over, especially in some places in Asia, and I think I saw it in some African parliaments before, where there are literal fist fights. And sometimes there aren't fist fights. I remember a couple years ago, I was watching a fight in a parliament, and you saw a chair literally picked up and thrown across the parliament at another member, these upstanding members of parliament. And if you are paying attention to this news and these activities that take place outside of what may be known to you, it could help to bring what is to you, what is in front of you, into a more solid perspective. And maybe you could possibly read what would have been done in another country to solve a problem that you are facing, because the problems of humanity are common. So if I can see a problem over on the other side of the world, and I saw a solution that they had for it, maybe that solution would work, because if they are humans and we are humans, trust me, human behavior is more common than you would think. One of the ways that many politicians especially, and many people who are attempting to get into positions of power, work to divide people is allowing people or making people think that we are more different than we actually are. You have more in common with me than you may actually think. You don't actually have to spend much time with me and talk to me for that long to know that you and I have a lot of commonalities. We have surely more commonalities than we have differences. So if I can learn about something in you that you solved, maybe that can solve something in me. And that's the benefit of sharing information, of sharing knowledge, of sharing teaching. So another prime example. I saw an article this morning pop up on Barbados Today, where they're talking about Barbados implementing their land tax, and they're giving the Barbadian citizens the guidelines on how to go pay their land taxes. And now over in Trinidad, there are lots of people very angry about these same land and building taxes that are going to be implemented, or well, they've been speaking about implementing them for possibly over a decade now, and they still haven't been implemented. I think when we're looking at implementing policies, whether they benefit the citizens or not, any policy in Trinidad, it seems like there are always so many people with vested interest in the matter that have to get their say in and have to get their view in, that it seems like sometimes policies are impossible to implement. Whether the land tax was bad or not, we may not even know, and we may never know, because it seems like the implementation may never happen, or at least never happen in the proper way. But again, even in the land tax and the arguments against the tax, ask the tax, that was a slogan popularized during one of the elections, and the whole idea behind that has a bit of ignorance in it, because possibly some of the people talking about this and promoting axe the tax may not even understand that these land taxes are pretty common even in the CARICOM, even in our region. I remember one of the ministers, one of the MPs who was at the forefront of axe the tax. Trinidad mustn't pay any land taxes. He had properties all around in Trinidad, and he had properties in Florida. And some investigative reporter did the digging, and they found that he was paying thousands of dollars easily in Florida as land taxes, and he wanted to pay none over in Trinidad for land tax. And the argument he had, pulling thousands of people behind him promoting axe the tax, was more about benefiting him because he had so much land that a land and building tax would have actually affected him. And some of these people in the protest about axing the tax were renting, and they had no land tax to pay. But the lack of knowledge, not understanding that land taxes are more common than you may think, allowed them to follow someone who was actually using it for their own selfish benefit. And this isn't, don't get me wrong, I'm not necessarily here promoting the land tax in Trinidad. I'm not saying that that is necessarily a good thing. Possibly, if we want to get some money, we should stop giving the ministers as many benefits as we give them. I'm a fierce proponent of that. Cut their salaries, cut their benefits, and save us some money. Because if the country isn't doing good, look at the leaders. If you have a company that isn't going good, wouldn't you fire the CEO or at least cut his pay? That's where I think we should get the money from. Look at the leaders and look to get some money from there. But again, on the land tax, it isn't something new or strange around the world. Well, now we can finally get into what this video is supposed to mostly be about, and CARICOM Day and the founding and creation of CARICOM. It seems like I took most of my time speaking about other things, which I hope you don't mind at all. Let's get into CARICOM. CARICOM Day is on July 4th. CARICOM's integration journey, not all gloom and doom. July 4th is CARICOM Day and the 20th anniversary of the signing of the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas. The Caribbean Community CARICOM is a regional integration process of 14 independent member states and Montserrat, which is still a British dependent territory. Collectively, the community has a population of about 18.4 million people with a gross domestic product per annum of an estimated US $90.1 billion. The World Bank classifies CARICOM countries as middle income, with only Haiti classified as least developed. The vulnerability of these mainly small island developing states to natural and man-made disasters is an acknowledged reality. This article goes through with pretty good detail the formation of CARICOM and the different bodies CARIFTA, the Caribbean Single Market and Economy over the years, and the different reasons and the dates at which they were formed. The general idea behind all was that we are small islands and it's difficult to work on the international stage being too small. So we were attempting to join together so we'd have power in numbers. There's strength in numbers, and that's the attempt that was being made. Part of the original attempt was for us to all literally be more of a federation together, in a federated sense, nearly as in states, thinking nearly like the United States, but that system didn't work out, and possibly for the best. I'm not sure how effective it would have been, especially when we're thinking back to when CARICOM and these things were being spoken about. I'm not sure how effective it would have been, several separate islands trying to function as one back then. Maybe now, with the increase in information and the ease of information transfer, it may actually be more feasible technically now, but I think now it may be less feasible socially, because many of these individual territories in the Caribbean have a lot of their own individual identities stamp to them, and some people may not be willing to give that up to have more unity in the region. Now, all of this CARICOM talk, really and truly, all of this, I wanted to bring it down to the fact that CARICOM is changing the chairman for this year. The chairman for the next 6 months. All of you who may be familiar with my videos, those of you who may be regular, again, the regular watchers and the irregular watchers and the new watchers, click that like button now so you'd be sure to like this video. And if you don't like it, comment and tell me what exactly you do not like about it. What exactly peeved you about this video, or what exactly peeved you about the articles I went through, or if it's too annoying for you and you cannot leave that comment because it just angered you so much, then share the video to every friend you know and tell them exactly how annoyed this video made you. Or if it didn't annoy you, still share the video and let's get the content out there. So what I really wanted to come down to speak about is my friend over in Antigua is the new chairman of CARICOM. Yes, the Antiguan Prime Minister, the same man with the strange mustache, Mr. Gaston Brown, he wants to decrease the airfare tax for intra-regional travel, and he has already done it over in Antigua. So I'm not sure exactly yet how it works. I'd have to get a little more in-depth into it. But I believe right now in Antigua, to enter Antigua, the taxes have already been decreased at their airport. So maybe a flight to, I'll check that out. Someone check out for me the cost of a flight to Antigua. But this Prime Minister is now the chairman of CARICOM. And as the chairman of CARICOM, he has said that he is going to make it his duty to bring it to all the CARICOM member states to attempt to reduce this airfare tax. I can't. Someone go look back at that video. The exact number is eluding me now, but I believe it was over 40% of the airfare cost of one ticket traveling from a CARICOM member state to another CARICOM member state. 40% of that cost is in tax. So you're paying that cost over to the government of that country, and you're losing that. And here's what the Prime Minister of Antigua said. And it makes sense to me. His argument is that this 40% that we're taking in taxes, if we leave that with the customers, with the tourists, and these people would be, of course, members of CARICOM, when they land in the island, this same money that we're taking in taxes would be spent in the island. And I fully agree. Taxes go to the government, money spent in the island go to the people. And I am of the opinion more money should be going to the people than to the government. If you're hearing some background noise right now, it's rainy season, more rain is falling. That's why I'm in here in the first place. My regular studio isn't, as I said before, my regular studio isn't as soundproof as here. So I am in support, Mr. Gaston Brown. If you need any support in getting information out there, I am your man. I would like to get more information and more CARICOM heads out there on this point. Decrease the airfare cost. Let's all travel CARICOM cheap and easy. If you're outside of CARICOM, hard luck. This isn't for you. You pay your money and come in. If you're inside CARICOM, let's all get together and pressure our governments to adopt this. What do you think? Comment again and tell me exactly what you think. And don't forget to click that like button and share it if you so feel inclined to. And I'll see you again tomorrow at 10 a.m. for the next video.